Coming from Zoom to YouTube, so I don't have to get out of Zoom. I needed to have proper enterprise connections in Zoom to allow me to do this. And I see that it's working, so that looks good. Perfect. Okay, so welcome. If let me let you know if you need to contact me, stay with me after class, and I'll be happy to work individually, or if there's a group or something that needs to speak with me, please stay with me. Otherwise, today, what I'd like to do is emphasize artificial intelligence with you, go over the concepts of artificial intelligence, talk about how new aspects of artificial intelligence are infiltrating our entire environment. So that's my goal now. On Wednesday, we'll have a number of systems projects due, and we'll also have guest speakers from fastbots.ai and also the city of Coral Gables. And they'll be joining us. We have academic relationships with both of those organizations. So let me just get started. And Allie and Lily will let me know, unmic yourselves, and let me know if I need to spend some time with folks. Something's that's not clear. So we see here that I have some latency problems. This is going to get faster each time. When latency, you can see me in the upper left-hand corner. It's a little bit delayed. Not a problem where they can read, see if it's going to move to what's due. And my edit mode is off, so I see exactly what you're seeing. So last week, let me review here. Last Wednesday, it was March, and we're still luckily in March now, is that we talked about everybody needed to do their WICs, go over artificial intelligence, and also I added articles about cloud computing. I mentioned that Amazon Web Services, Azure, or Azure as they call it for Microsoft, has their cloud services, and Google. And I have some readings just for you to look at on Amazon and Azure about what is cloud computing that we're talking about on demand. You know that you're always been using cloud computing almost of all your apps that you use. And here, this is basically a way of cloud computing, not only for individuals, but for the enterprise. What are the benefits? And there's different types of cloud computing. And basically, that idea of cloud computing, let me ask a question here. And I'll start with you, Lily. I talk about cloud computing and I talk about public, private, and hybrid. Let's talk about cloud computing. What do you know of all our applications that we use in this class? What's cloud computing?
It's like an area where you can access different different PDFs or just like different stuff from not just like you can access it from anything.
Okay, let's even look it up. As you look it up, let's think about it. If I talk about cloud computing, and it doesn't matter where, if I'm talking about Microsoft or I talk about Amazon, you wake up in the morning, Lily, And let's say do you look at your phone first or your computer first?
Phone.
Your phone. What do you look at in your phone?
Any notifications I have?
Okay, the notifications, and what else? Notifications from whom? From what? From what applications?
My messages.
Okay, your messages, okay. And how did those messages come? It's basically what? Over the internet, right? Anytime, and you can put this in your notes, Lily, anytime you go to a browser, you're on the internet. You're on the internet. What is it? It basically, you hook up and you're basically in what they call the cloud. The cloud, what are we doing? We're connecting really to another computer somewhere in the world. You don't care where. And either what we're doing, if I look at it, is I have something called IAS, PAS, and SAS. Let me put it in my notes. I have something which is IAS. What's the other one?
Uh,
PAAS.
S
And what's the last one?
S A S.
SAAS. And everything is easy when you know it. Basically, everything that says AAS, right, is as a service. And what does it mean as a service? As a service means that a company gives you a service. A company offers you something. And where are they offering you? All of this, they're offering it via the internet, via a browser. You get to it via a browser. And think about it. If you use email, if you check your Gmail account or your University of Miami account, it's what? It's through the internet, right? If you're going to Instagram, it's through the internet. Any of your applications that you've used usually is as a service. If I think about it, Thomas, this is versus all this as a service versus what? On premise. And what does that mean? That the computers are local. You remember, Thomas, when we are basing, I can save to the cloud or save to my computer on Zoom. That's basically save to my computer is like saying on premise. The advantage, there's advantage to that, right? I don't need the internet. If Zoom's server is corrupted or it's off, I still have it on my computer and then I have more control of it, right? And then maybe I can put it backups to my other clouds, so-called clouds, my other computers. So that's the difference when we talk about cloud and when companies are thinking about where they're going to cloud. Now it's for individual, it's a no-brainer. You don't even think about it. Everything that you do is through the cloud. And if your internet is down, what happens, Andrea? If your internet is down, many times it's hard to work. Am I correct? It's even hard for you to get into my class. Remember last week I had problems with my internet. I had to be out and then I had to come back in. I had to be out, come back in. And what did I need? I needed backup and then I needed even people, right? To say, hey, I hope Sebastian can take over the class, right? Because Sebastian has rights, right, Sebastian? You have teaching assistant rights here where no one else in this class in this section have, so he could do attendance if possible. So I have to think about that as a possibility. University has to think about it as a possibility. All of a sudden there's a hurricane. And they always say, oh, just go on the internet. Well, what happens if there's no internet? Is that a possibility when the hurricane? Did you see that horrible, there's earthquakes now? Think they have internet? You're lucky if they have a building. How do you get to these people? So this is a case here that I have the I stands for infrastructure. And what is infrastructure? Infrastructure, another term for infrastructure, you think then is what? What's another term for infrastructure? Peyton, what's another term for infrastructure? Do you have any idea?
I'm not totally sure.
Okay, what am I typing here? Do you see my notepad here?
Yeah, hardware right there.
Hardware. Think about infrastructure as hardware. So when they say infrastructure as a service, then Mark, what does infrastructure as a service mean? That Mark, if me and you end up saying, hey, I really like your idea, I want to invest in your company, let's get started. What are you going to be doing for your project, Mark? What are you guys going to do?
End of that.
What?
What was the end of that?
What is going to be doing for your project?
What are we going to for our project? Sorry, it's like you're breaking in and out.
Yeah, I know. That's a problem. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so what will it be?
Um,
What
was the
topic are you
what our
doing for your
was?
project?
We're matching resume or university students to employers more quickly.
Okay, employees. Okay, so let's say we go into business together, and all of a sudden, what are we going to need to do is I'm going to say, you know, Mark, do we have any clients now? No. So basically, I don't want to buy a lot of hardware, right, Mark? I want to reduce that, and let's use hardware and the computing power on the cloud. So that's infrastructure as service. Platform as a service. And Ali, what do you think platform as a service means?
The platform, I don't want to say it's like similar to software, kind of.
It is software, but a different kind. What kind of software is it usually? What am I typing here?
Operating system.
Yeah. What kind of operating systems do you know? Windows, Mac,
Mac.
iOS, Android. So many times we may not have, Ali, when we're going to go into business, we may say to ourselves, we're going to have all these apps, right? That I want to be able to have it run Windows. I want to be able to have it run on Mac. I want to be able to run on iOS, but I don't want to have them all. So I can use the cloud, and they supply me with the platform, the operating service, rather than for me, I like to install it in all of the computers or to buy hardware that has those computers. You got it, Ali? And then the other one, the S, you're on a roll. And Thomas Owens, you're on a roll. Then the S for S as a service, it stands for what? Software as a service. And software, they're talking about it as what I call applications. And everything almost that we've used in this class, Thomas Owens, has been what? Software as a service. Is Zoom, is that software as a service, Thomas Owens?
Yes.
Yes. Is Blackboard software as a service, Thomas?
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically, in the very beginning, when the university bought basically or leased Blackboard, they said, you know what? We'll host Blackboard on our servers, our computers at the university. And where do you think they went with that? What was the next step then? That next step then, Steve Guy, is what? If basically I can then even have all three of these where I can have software as a service, but also it resides on someone else's infrastructure. And I don't have to worry about the operating system. And if I need to do any computation, and any databases and any types of computations, I can do all those computations in the cloud. And what is it? It's basically on demand. And Kristen, what does on demand mean? You're eating? I'm sorry. That's the nice
Sorry
thing.
about that.
I know it's good. It's, you know, a lot of times they say you can't eat in class, but here the beauty here is I can eat in class and you can too. We just don't want to, and usually we don't speak at the same time. So take it. I don't want you to choke.
So on demand would be like immediately when you want it. So it just
It means on
opens.
demand, just like on
Yeah.
demand of streaming, any of the streaming services, right? You want to watch a show, you want to watch a movie, it's on demand. I don't have to make sure, hey, at 7:15 it starts, and if I'm late, my goodness. It's when I want to use it, how much I want to use it, and I can cut back. So it's the same thing, Christian. Once we would decide, I would decide to be a partner with you and invest with you. The beauty here is we would take as much on-demand cloud services as we need. And if we could, we can then do what? Scale up or
Scale
down?
up, scale up,
Or scale down,
or
right?
scale down. Yeah.
That may be during Christmas, we're really busy, and then it may be why hold it? So a lot of times those investments, though, basically those investments, I can have those coming up and down. So these are areas that we know about. I'm just telling you that those are versions or which they're doing. And now all these things now coming with AI requires what? A lot of computing power. A lot of these models, a lot of these companies are trying to even come up with coding. All of this can be done in the cloud. Anybody hear something called, Kristen, have you heard about something called vibe coding?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
No, so let's ask. So basically we could even, in this case, dial 1-800-CHAT-GPT, Kristen, and ask, right? Take out your phone, and everybody can do that, right? 1-800-CHAT-GPT, and all of a sudden there's something called, I know what coding is, right? Basically, when we're thinking about, but what's vibe coding?
So the Google AI says it's a method of software development where users describe their desired software features to AI, and then the AI generates code,
Yeah.
shifting the focus from manual coding to guided coding.
It's like ChatGPT, but you're saying, hey, these are the things I want on an application. These are things I want on a website, right? I want a website to be created. I want an app to be created. These are the characteristics. And instead of you going line by line through Python code, it's starting to create the code for you. This is the direction. The whole idea is people are saying it still needs, at least it's good enough right now for what I call prototype.
So would vibe
What?
coding be like last year I used Tableau, and we asked ChatGPT like to create these charts in Tableau, and like would that be considered vibe coding?
It's starting, yeah. It kind of meshes together, yeah. Give me now even Microsoft has something called Copilot. You heard of that? They have, it's basically like ChatGPT tied to Excel. So now you can ask it, take these numbers and create a chart for me. Right? And then by country and by salesperson or something, where you would have had to do it more by a pivot table. Here it can create it. So it's the same idea. Here it's basically starting from scratch rather than doing through the Tableau. You don't even have to have it done in Tableau. But yeah, it's the same direction. And guess what? You think Tableau is not going to have more and more of those built in? It's built in, basically it's built in all those tools that you can basically speak to it in human-like language, and it will then create the code behind it. You know, and that this vibe coding, as a matter of fact, they're now, instead of, where I think in the School of Business for a number of majors, you have to take Python coding. It's good to, I think, to have a background in the foundation of it, but I think more and more of the beginning programmers, basically, something like vibe coding will help more. So what you need to know is, has to learn, how do you prompt it? Just like in ChatGPT or in any of the other ones, if you know how to ask it a better way, or you refine it, you get better answers. So it's the same thing with vibe coding, and it's going to get better. Now, what they're finding, even in software developers, there are less software developers that I need to do a project than I did before. Because you think even software developers that are really good coders, they can use a lot of this coding tools to help them. So where I needed a lot of investor help, those are my finance people, where I needed to basically be a startup and needed a lot of advanced help, I don't need to hire 10 programmers. Maybe 2 programmers may be good enough. And those 2 programmers will be using tools. I don't care what they use, right? If I think about it, Soren, do I care? We are the CEO and CFO. I don't care what they use. What I care is that the product works and my vision works. And then I can basically make those turnaround positions well. So this is where it's coming to. I just wanted to let you know. And the second part is the idea with AI that I wanted you to read of these articles. Let me open it in a new tab. This is one article that I wanted you to read. And here's another one. And here's a third one. There's so much information, and it changes every week. It's amazing. It's exciting for me, but sometimes I said I should have been a history professor. Then things don't change. And if you don't love to learn and be curious, this is not the area you want to do, but you need to do it. Basically, this article of what is artificial intelligence, I want you to read in addition to your chapter in the book about artificial intelligence. And basically that whole idea of AI, artificial intelligence, is everywhere, right? It's affecting us. Anything that we touch now, it's affecting it. It can have, people are concerned about it, of how it works. People are concerned about it needs guardrails. People are concerned about, the government should involve it. We have an AI czar now, and in one administration we had the guardrails, and another administration say we'll take away those guardrails. I'm not so sure. People don't even know the anticipation, but it basically, the beginnings of all this artificial intelligence started in the United States. It started with the Defense Department. And you can imagine that's another world, right? What the Defense Department's going to look like. There's going to be wars, all these wars are being used AI from as well, that it can be frightening as well. In one sense, you say, hey, people won't be injured, but people are injured. But on the other side, they're using AI, right? And you can see it among movies and everything. But here you get this sense between what it started basically with neural networks, and what neural networks really are. Think about it. Neural networks, let me just put this down here. Neural networks, where do we hear about neural networks? It's in our brain. It basically tries to emulate a human brain. Basically, we have neurons that link together. Have you ever seen somebody with Alzheimer's, right? Their neurons aren't firing well. When they can't even remember not only their name, they don't know where their keys are. They don't even know what a key is to open a door. So it's the idea of that human name here in neural networks then, and basically you're training models based on, almost you can think about neurons. and based on weights. And think about weights of variables. And this, in those weights of merit, what you have is you have what we call supervised training versus unsupervised training. And where you can also find this, if I go to my part of my PowerPoints, that if I look at my artificial intelligence, and basically if I go to my downloads, let me go to my downloads right here. It should be. And in this case, in my chapter here, that I can think about my artificial intelligence with this is my PowerPoint that I have with you, is basically differentiate between what we call supervisor, the semi-supervised, unsupervised reinforcement, and deep learning. And when I think about it, we know already a lot of case studies with artificial intelligence, the idea of computer vision. Now a lot of my phones, right, I can put take pictures and the AI will tell me what it is. In the beginning, that was a big deal. It can now do video. As a matter of fact, I have a conversation this week. I want another academic academic relationship with another company called PixieBot that looks at videos and describes videos, not only for the visually impaired, but for basically for security purposes. Natural language processing, I know that when I speak, it now does a pretty good job. Image recognition, intelligent agents, and all of those use cases for all my business operations. So you can think about this chapter where it's going into all of these. And what I want you to do is read this chapter. You need to do for artificial intelligence. But besides looking at artificial intelligence, they even had in the beginning something called a Turing test. And Soren, have you ever heard of that? Basically, in this beginning, this was by a computer scientist. His name was Dr. Turing. And basically, it was whether a human being, when a result was found, whether a human being could decide whether that was done by a computer versus a human being. And as the computer gets more intelligent, so-called, it's going to be harder to decipher between what's a human and what's not a computer. And, you know, people are also even saying the computer's going to be smarter than us in some ways, you know. So it's basically looking at a number of these ways and those capabilities of what is natural intelligence, what is artificial intelligence, what are the advantages, the disadvantages. And in some ways, this is basically not so simple to see. Like in creativity, everybody says, oh, humans are so creative. I don't know. In this case, you know, a lot of times in music, it's kind of creating some music, it's creating art. I'm going to have a musician come in and show you how he's using it, recognizing patterns. The computer's really great in that. The computer doesn't get tired. Even in psychiatry, I was speaking with a psychiatrist. She's doing some research in this, and she's saying many people find the AI more empathetic than humans, you know? Sometimes I have to learn from how to be more empathetic. They can teach me how to be more empathetic, you know? Sometimes I'm not as empathetic as I want to be. So you can think about all of these advances in data that's happening, the idea of machine learning versus deep learning. They had in the beginning expert systems where basically I get an expert, and the idea was I have to get the expertise of a human and put them into a computer. This time it's basically the computer then is teaching the experts. Sometimes machine learning where they're using it more deep learning, and the types of machine learning is sometimes supervised. When I know the results, I as a human know the results, I train the computer and I basically check to see if the computer is learning. And finally, in unsupervised learning, it means that the computer then will start learning itself. So these are areas we'll go into more in detail, but these are areas in which we were talking about, artificial intelligence and robotics. So these are areas in your book that you noted, and this in the what's due section, you can see that this article kind of gives you this overall. Then it gives you an overall, what is generative AI? And generative AI, if I think about it, uses language models. A lot of times they use large language models. Sometimes they use small language models, and they use prediction. And here, this is a great article I want you to read here in terms of how it's being used, your AI, what type of applications is it being used, and knowing about machine learning, neural nets, and deep learning. And then you have another article specifically on machine learning. It's a branch of artificial intelligence, and it's using then system from data to identify patterns. And it makes decisions in the beginning with minimal human intervention, and machine learning, it starts correcting itself. And here's the evolution of it. And here's in today's world of actual. A lot of times we've been using this for a long time. It's just that we haven't seen it. And this article talks about generative AI. And how is it used? That it uses then those algorithms. We know it at the end users as being a query or a prompt. And the prompt is like vibe coding. When you thought about it, Christian, that prompt in generative AI, it's now being able to use that prompt also for that vibe coding that can be done here. And the so-called language models trains on billions of pages of text. And basically you can see here that they're creating what's new about generative AI is it creates things that are new, like DALL-E, like creates images from text, creates from text videos. And from Gen AI comes what we call AGI, where we're talking about artificial general intelligence. And there's one more thing that is just interesting. Let me just do this. Remember I talked about the Wall Street Journal? And we'll be talking about this in general later, is the idea of agentic AI agents. So put in your notes here that for the next time, what we're going to be talking about is something that's called agentic. And have you ever heard of that, Andrea?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, have you ever heard about agentic?
I have not.
Or AI agents? You've heard about Gen AI, right?
Yes, yes.
So now there's something called agentic or AI agents. And
Oh, are they like people who like artificial intelligence that makes it seem like they're people.
Well,
Um,
basically, they do tasks for you.
Okay.
So rather, basically, you'll have then agents that do your work. So
Okay.
it's like assistants.
Okay.
So think about, I have teaching assistants.
Yeah.
You're my teaching assistant in training next semester.
Yeah.
You want to be my teaching assistant.
Mhm.
Basically, I'll give you a number of tasks. So basically, on these cases, on the AI, and this is getting confusing, is basically they're sometimes called AI agents.
Mhm.
And what they're able to do in this case, broadly known is they take some action on behalf of a human being. So
Okay.
let's say I want them to be my travel agent, plan my travel,
Mhm.
right? I want to go to the Bahamas. I want to go to the Bahamas for a weekend, right? So what do they have to do? Just like I would have my travel agent do it, they would do others. So it's basically in that case, and basically people aren't sure what to do. But in this case, this is an interesting article that those AI agents are broadly understood to be systems that take some action on behalf of humans, like making reservations. But in this case, it's a little blurry because just like Christian was saying, was that like Tableau when we asked Tableau a question or querying enterprise data and delivering an answer based on an actions? In some cases it is, it kind of gets blurry on what it is. But basically, do you guys hear me?
Yes.
No, I think you disconnected.
Yes.
I got disconnected. You see what the problem is? So is this software as a service? Is this platform, right? So those are the issues we got. So these are, I'm going to try, what I'm going to do first is let me answer any questions that we have. So what I'm running here, I'm afraid I'm going to lose connection. What I'm going to do now is you have what you need to do for Wednesday. Wednesday, I am going to give you an additional assignment for your project. I will go over it in the beginning. We will also try to do the chat bot. And in this case, if I look at it, Ally, we have the VAPI, is that due on Wednesday? The voice API? Ally?
Yeah, that's the audit assignment for Wednesday or due Wednesday.
So for Wednesday, what I'd like you to know is the voice assignment is recorded. You don't have to record it with the 10 numbers, but at least get a couple of numbers and see, especially work to see if they spell anything that we can use for vanity numbers, and record it, Ally, and you'll record it just like you did with doing any other recording, and upload it with the Zoom link, and also post the phone numbers you get. The next step with that is will be to meet with your group, and we'll decide if anybody in your group got a really good number that spells something that could be catchy. Like I had one USA Mon, like for monitoring for wellness or for security. Or I had also basically Now Air Open for open houses. I also had a number of Whiz More Biz, like it'd be more business. So try it out. I had some issues on the weekend where my number didn't work. I think their server went down. Again, what is it? It's a software as a service. They're a beginning of it, but it's really nice. And make sure you go in the prompts, and you can even change the prompt that it will have like your name. You can change, for instance, the voice. For instance, Ally, you can make it as a female voice, as we did before with Lily. And try it out. If you get issues, what do you need to do, Ally? You need to document. Just like we're documenting here, I come in and I come out, and I probably, in this case, right, I am recording and I am still on YouTube. So it came back and it still remained with my recording and my YouTube. So basically make sure that you document. This is so interesting, and what I want to make sure that you understand is the number that you can do to attach a large language model to needs to be provisioned. It's basically like a phone agent, a calling agent that's provisioned, a phone number that's provisioned to accept a LLM. So if I think about it, makes it kind of interesting. In this case, Andrea, remember API? What is that? An application program interface. It's basically the voice has that application program interface to that language model. It's basically taking a telephone number, provisioning it so it can accept a language model. And then you, as the owners of that, for the time being, can program it in addition. Even if you're not a super programmer, it's almost like vibe coding, is that you can replace the text with your own text. So when it answers questions, then what you could do, it's almost like Notebook LM when you think about it, Andrea, right? You could give it documents. It could basically take those documents, and when people call your number, talk about, hey, this is Andrea from what's your company going to do, Andrea?
We're providing marketing services.
Marketing service. This is Andrea from, AI marketing services. These are the things that we do. Tell me about yourself, how can we help you, kind of thing. And then when it starts asking, my goal would be what, Andrea? That assistant via the voice, via the telephone number, could answer many questions, could almost be like a lead generation. That's why I wanted you to use the templates for lead generation. And then when it wouldn't know the answers, well, my ideal would be, oh, it would be smart enough to know it doesn't know the answer. And then Andrea say, hold on, let me get Andrea on the line, and you would join the conversation or link to anyone else in your group, right? And you could join the conversation and say, let me explain. We're also going to teach you how to do a podcast. And then we're going to use Notebook LM to do that podcast. And then when we would want that learning language model to take from you, Andrea, and put it into its system. And the next time somebody talks about doing a podcast, it would be able to answer that question. That's our goal. But in the beginning, we're going to try it out. And the beauty here is once you get the phone number that we like, then we're going to put the phone number on our website. So instead of just a regular, we don't want to put your regular phone number in. Why to have people spam you, right, and harass you, Andrea, right? Have your virtual agent contact you, and you can even put a note. If you'd like a virtual agent, we can provide that service to you. Wouldn't that be neat? You can even provide them. Most people don't know how to do that. They think, hey, I have to spend, thousands of dollars on it. So you'll just charge $1,000. Right? Instead of thousands. But I'm just giving you the idea that all of this will be incorporated in your project and you'll showcase it. You'll get a podcast. You know how to do a podcast now, right? You'll add that podcast to your website. You'll add then your phone number to your website. And then everyone, just so you know, everyone then will take a video explanation and put it on your website to show these are some of the services that we provide, like Notebook LM, doing VAPI, doing other types of tools. You got it, Valentina? So what we're doing, Allie, is not only doing this assignment, which everybody's going to understand, but together as a group, then take one of the numbers and put one of the numbers on our website to make it callable. But what I like about this assignment is then Peyton, everybody in the class knows how to do it. It's not that difficult, but to see what are the challenges, and rather than when somebody says, oh, do you know how to, yeah, we did that I have it on my website, but I don't know how to do it. Jamie did that part. I want everybody to be able to know how to do everything on your website. That's why I want everybody to have a video on their website, that everybody's a part of this project, not just one person going to be a part of it. And that's the challenge here with our projects, is that some people are more involved than others in the project. And I'm going to emphasize again that if you're not involved, your grade will not be the same as others that are involved. But the idea is, I hope everybody can be motivated to be involved because it's useful, in my opinion. Questions? Okay, I'm still online, so I shouldn't, what can I say? I should not be so greedy, right? And you can see I have a digital twin here. So I have one that I have multiple parts. So let me try to share my screen, get attendance, and I'll end class a bit early today to answer any of your questions, any of the problems that you have with your groups, any of other personal things, anything that you want me. If you want me to look at your work, I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, we'll meet on Wednesday. Let's come as early as possible so I can go through all our assignments with you. We're going to have a large assignment for Wednesday. And then it'll be interesting to also see our illustrious guest speakers. And some of our guest speakers, what they're going to do is give us their products, a chatbot, and they're going to give us their premium service to be able to use for free for this semester. So anything, Allie or Lily, that I need to answer? Any questions? Allie, how am I doing?
You're good. There's nothing in the chat.
Okay. Is there anything you have, Allie?
No, I'm all good.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. You know what it is here. Let me just promote myself. Let's see here. do this. Stop sharing. And Ally, can you be so kind and put in 4426 in the chat? 4426 in the chat.
I got it. It's in there.
Okay, and 4426 in the chat for attendance. And then I'm going to stay and answer any questions. And Christian, you wanted to stay with me after class?
Yeah.
Okay, and then Samuel, how's it going? Did you get the
Yep, it worked
code?
this time. Thank you. Have a great day.
My pleasure. And Thomas, are you there? I don't know if he sometimes gets in and out too.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, is there anything you want to chat with? Did you get the attendance?